let's turn the page to Bruce Arians. Big news a week ago. We spent Thursday's show talking about his abrupt and sudden and surprising decision to retire, resign, whatever word you want to apply to it, as head coach of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. He was on
Florio, you can write whatever you want. You can write whatever
Arizona
you want, Florio.
Sports yesterday, talking about a variety of things. Here he is talking about the timing of his retirement and his relationship with hashtag Tom Brady.
I was waiting for Tom and see what he was going to do, and once decided he came back, and it was a no-brainer. Todd's in a great shape. The organization's in a great shape. Probably wouldn't have done it had Todd not unretired. Tom unretired.
Were you shocked at all that Tom Brady did come back, or was, because you said you're kind of waiting? Was it a possibility? I mean, that's a lot kind of hanging on that.
Yeah, there was always a possibility, and we're going to wait till the last minute. And we were making plans in case he didn't, and but thank goodness he did.
The whole rift that supposedly existed between you and Tom Brady, was that for real?
No, not at all, Wolf. I mean, you know me. I cuss them all out.
That's right.
But we have a great relationship. We play golf, and Tom's fantastic, and I enjoy being around him, and look forward to the future and watching him continue to play great, and Todd run the ship.
It's like pulling a string on a doll with Bruce Arians when this topic comes up. I cuss them all out, and we play golf. That doesn't address the deeper issue. The deeper issue is Bruce Arians was semi, if not mostly, retired. Bruce Arians was out of the picture. Byron Leftwich and Tom Brady were cranking every week on the offense, and this idea that Arians would show up and start tinkering with things late in the game and frustrating Leftwich and Brady, that's where the friction came from.
Yeah.
And also this idea that maybe not running the tightest ship in Tampa Bay. Contrasting how hard Bill Belichick worked with how hard Bruce Arians doesn't work. And remember the Sean Payton. And one thing I learned this week, not that we had any doubts about it, but sometimes when you're having conversations about other things, you trip over even more information that causes you to be even more convinced about things you've previously said.
Yeah.
Folks, the Sean Payton, Tom Brady
Yes.
matching up together in Miami was as real as it could have been. It was happening. I said this last night on PFTPM. Super Bowl week, you know what we were going to find out? We were going to find out that Tom Brady was now a minority owner of the Miami Dolphins. That didn't happen. The Brian Flores lawsuit, which was filed the same day that Tom Brady retired, that lawsuit, the allegations in it and its implications kept this from happening in Miami. It was going to be Tom Brady becoming a minority owner of the Dolphins, Super Bowl week, Sean Payton becoming the head coach of the Dolphins not long thereafter in a trade that probably would have sent a first-round pick from the Dolphins to the Saints, and then later in the spring, Tom Brady unretiring and being traded by the Buccaneers to the Dolphins.
Yeah.
That was real.
Definitely.
That was happening. Now, why do you think Tom Brady wanted to go that route? If everything was perfectly fine in Tampa Bay, if he believed that they had a clear shot to another Super Bowl win and he had no frustrations about the way things were being done there, why would he have entertained going back to the AFC East with a team that hasn't been to the playoffs in several years? And yes, they're showing that they have something, but it's not nearly as stacked as the Buccaneers are, and it's in a much tougher spot than the Buccaneers are in.
It definitely is. Yeah, it's a little, it's got the unproven commodity aspect of it. But I connecting dots, reading between the tea leaves, all of that. Yes, I would think that's part of the play. Hey, people could say what all they want and all that. You talk to whoever they want in the NFL, all right? Everybody knows that there was a little bit of a issue with the dynamic you're talking about. Leftwich and Brady doing the offensive stuff and Bruce Arians getting involved. It's a known thing. You talk to anybody. So it's not like Mike and I are sitting here trying to cause a problem or, stir the pot here a little bit. These are very common inside the NFL talk, rumors. Not, I don't even want to say they're rumors. Things that's real talk. So there obviously was something there. There's no question. And Sean Payton is more along the lines of Bill Belichick, to your point. Hey, it is Miami. We know Brady's building the house down there. It seems like they want to go that route. You've talked about it. It's closer to Costa Rica, Brazil, everything like that. Makes sense, certainly does. And then you tie in the football stuff too. And, yeah, I think that's real. Now, what I still am going to sit here, and because, I love Bruce Arians. You know that. I do. I'm a big fan of his. He's more times than not been very honest. And there's parts of me that want to believe him a little bit here as, he tells this story about, I kind of wanted to retire, but I wasn't going to do it unless Brady came back. I kind of want to because I do believe it's in him to think about Todd Bowles and think about that type of move. I do think Bruce Arians is that type of human being that would do that. I do. But I'm not sure if I really do believe exactly that this is the way it went down. I still can't get behind that totally between the things I know and things we know behind the scenes a little bit to where it just doesn't quite make sense, and I'm not going to totally believe it until I hear maybe some more substantial rumors or inside info there.
Somebody came up with a narrative that was partially true that they were able to sell to Arians that allowed him to walk away without the perception that he was pushed.
Yeah.
It's that simple.
It seems that way. Right.
In other industries. That happens in all walks of life. We have to come up with something that makes it look better than it would be and even make it look like it was the idea of the person who's actually being nudged out of the way. Because, again, the idea that Tom Brady comes back, I had this thought earlier in the week because I made this as it relates to Brady and Bill Belichick. Let's have an even better example. Let's say that last year, Drew Brees retires from the Saints. And 17 days later, Drew Brees unretires. No, wait, I'm getting my timeline wrong. Drew Brees retires from the Saints. 40 days later, he unretires from the Saints. Surprises everyone. He's back. If Sean Payton leaves 17 days later, that's a pretty big deal for Drew Brees. Drew Brees' reaction to that is, hey, Sean, I wish you would have bleeping told me.
To me, Mike,
leave
you're exactly
17
right.
days later.
Exactly right.
If I'm coming back to play.
Yes.
The idea that there has been nothing, not even a peep, not even a regret, and nothing. Just, that's fine. Yeah, great. Bruce is out. That's fine. I'm still here. No big deal. None of these guys, Ryan Jensen, nobody else, nobody's got any concerns about signing contracts. No, it's fine. Come on. Come on, people. The evidence is hiding in plain sight. And anyway, and you throw just what we see on top of what we already know, what you and I know. And we would not be banging this drum as aggressively as we have. Trust me, this Tom Brady to Miami was happening. So why did he retire for 40 days? Why did he retire when he did? He didn't retire when he did because ESPN reported he was retiring, so he had no choice but to retire. Give me a freaking break. He retired because he wanted to implement some other plan for the continuation of his career.
No question.
And Miami was plan A. Maybe San Francisco was plan B. Miami was plan A.
Yeah, and Miami was definitely plan A. And we know that. I know it. So and of course you know it too. So that was a real thing, and obviously there was, some finagling and some wiggling. And as I understand the timeline too there, yes, it was trying to figure that out, and then going back to Bruce Arians, quote that we just heard there. We started to make plans for other QBs, and that's when Tom was coming to the point of, wait, I don't know if I have any other avenues here, and oh wait, they're going to start flirting with maybe Deshaun Watson and some of these other guys that might hit the market here. I got to make a decision. Okay, I'll come back to the Tampa, and then that starts the next phase of that conversation, which we believe is, okay, I want to come back, but I'm not sure I want to be back with Bruce Arians. And, again, there's a lot of people in the league that think that certainly had gone down because we know the history a little bit and some of the issues there.
And last week, Buccaneers GM Jason Light told Rich Eisen that Tom Brady never demanded that. And again, come on, let's apply common sense. Part of being Tom Brady is you don't have to get your hands dirty. You don't have to demand anything. You have ways of making your point without ever having to directly make the point to Jason Light or anyone named Glazer in the ownership reaches of the organization.
Or if he does,
you don't have to do that.
To your point, you've always said, Mike, I mean, even if he did, they're not going to do anything. I mean, this is Don Corleone of Tampa right now. They're going to kiss the ring, and they're not going to make him look bad. They're all about, like you've always said, get him back in the stadium, get the stadium filled, sell more jerseys. We need Brady. So they're going to do and say whatever they got to do to continue to appeal to him and make him feel comfortable, which I understand. They should. He's freaking Tom Brady. He's the man, and he's still damn good quarterback.
One last point before we pivot to another soundbite from Bruce Arians that on the back end maybe we will stir up a little more trouble, but let's wait on that. I want to say this. The Brian Flores lawsuit, the fact that it contained the allegations about Flores resisting an urging to meet with a high-profile quarterback who wasn't named, and everybody knows it was Tom Brady. I'm curious as to whether the Flores lawsuit was specifically constructed to have the effect of pulling the plug on the Brady/Peyton to Miami plan. How much about that was Flores aware of? How much about that made its way into the allegations of his original complaint? And what were they holding the paperwork for the day that Tom Brady retired? I mean, was it an accident or a coincidence that the Brian Flores lawsuit got filed the same freaking day? Did they have that thing ready to go? And Flores knew what the plan was. He knew that he was going to become a minority owner of the Dolphins Super Bowl week, that's when it was going to be announced. So he had to retire at some point before then. So let's have the paperwork ready to go. And the day Tom Brady retires, we're going to drop this thing onto the NFL. There's a story potentially to be told there because it's either a coincidence or it's not.
I think there was definitely some shady things that went on as far as Brian Flores and what he's concerned with. That is interesting. I'd be interested to know that as well. At the very least, I mean, the more we know here, the more, I mean, we know that, certainly all these things, pull up your boat next to another guy's boat, and that famous quarterback was going to be Tom Brady, and there was going to be a conversation with ownership and whatever. Flores didn't want to take part of that. And also, I mean, of course, it looks now that Flores was fired because they thought they were going to get Brady and Sean Payton. I got to think that was part of the reason of the firing, let alone, I don't know, there's obviously some other issues maybe that we've talked about and heard. But, I mean, the way it's lining up right now, that's the way it looks, certainly. And then, of course, the lawsuit itself, I don't know if that affected it or where it went from there. But certainly things spiraled downhill in a hurry after all of that.
By the way, quick reminder, it was 10 days ago that we told you on this program that the Brian Flores lawsuit would be amended by April 8 to include, among other things, 2 additional plaintiffs, 2 additional teams. Today is April 7. Friendly reminder, something is coming very, very soon.
Hi, I'm Mike Tirico, and thanks for watching. Make sure to hit subscribe for the latest news and highlights from NBC Sports.